blow shofar properly. So he would go to the chacham and he should tell him how to blow shofar. In the meantime, he'll forget himself and carry the shofar, the shusarab. This is the gzeira derabba. This is why we nullified blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Lest there'll be somebody who wants to blow shofar and he doesn't know exactly how to do it, and he would forget himself and go with the shofar to the Rav to ask him to tell him how to blow shofar. Move on.
Boom boom ba boom bam ba boom bam ba boom bam boom ba dum bum bum ba boom bam bam boom bam ba boom bam boom boom ba dum bam ba boom boom ba boom bam ba boom bam ba boom bam bum ba dum bum bum ba boom bam bam boom bam ba boom bam boom boom ba ba dum bam ba boom bam.
So this is a common question. Eine move on. It's hard to understand. How the Chachamim nullifying, in other words, preventing us from doing a mitzvah sasa midiraisa, because blowing shofar is a mitzvah midiraisa. Because of the gzeira, because of the concern, Shema Yaviran, unless he will carry it in the shusarab. Take into account this whole thing is really perplexing me. Prat, mitzvah shofar, particularly when it comes to mitzvah shofar, shehi mitzvah roma v'nisoma oid, which is a very supreme mitzvah, not a regular mitzvah. Shara mitzvah shofar inyona hu inyan hatshuva. Since that mitzvah shofar represents the principle of tshuva, shilimai lemekol ha-mitzvahs, which is above all the mitzvahs. Why do we say that shofar is that tshuva is above all the mitzvahs? Sharei alidei ha-tshuva nasa slichas aveines. Since that through tshuva the effect slichas aveines, the wiping away of sin. That means that this is superior to the sin. It can wipe away a sin. V'hagam. The Rebbe explains himself. What kind of question is it that this is a very superior mitzvah? Although we have the principle that you must not sit and weigh and judge the mitzvahs of Torah, to try to identify more important and greater mitzvahs and smaller mitzvahs. Meshum, because the mitzad ha-mitzavo be'emes kulam shovi. Because that from the principle, a mitzvah means a command, and the central power of a command is not the command, but it is the fact that there is a commander behind it. So from the perspective that there is a mitzvah, which is the principal strength of a mitzvah, be'emes kulon shovi, are in fact, they're all truly all equal. Huh?
Paltiel, couldn't it be that from the perspective of the mitzvah wants some more than others, or has more of a desire for particular mitzvahs than others? Why do we say that everything is b'shava?
Welcome to the conference room. At the tone, please record your name, followed by the pound key.
Paltiel.
Thank you. You are participant number.
Sorry.
Good morning, Reverend Paltiel.
Good morning.
Reverend Paltiel, you remember that I said we were talking about a number of things yesterday. Is it possible to start with some questions before we go back to the beginning?
Okay, just let me just attend to this question here.
What is the question?
Well, we started. I forgot to call you in. We started learning the Hemshech in the beginning, and the Rebbe is asking.
Never mind. Yeah, go ahead.
And the Rebbe is asking, how come the Chachamim prevented us from doing a mitzvah de'oraisa because of some gzeira derabba? And then the emphasis is that because the Shefer is a very supreme kind of mitzvah, it's a new mitzvah tshuva, which supersedes all other mitzvahs. Then the Rebbe says, but we have the klal that we must not judge the value of mitzvahs. As a Mishnah says, so what is the pshat that we say that it's a very superior mitzvah? And the reason that you should not be judging, weighing mitzvahs is because from the perspective of the Metzaveh HaMitzvah, of the commander, they're really all equal. From the perspective of the commander, they're all equal. So Yehud is asking.
All this happened just now before you called me?
Yeah, before I called. Okay. So I just want to finish this off, and then we'll go back to your question. So I just want to point. So Yehud says that, well, but there could be mitzvahs that the Eibishter himself, the Mitzvah, is more adamant, is more is interested in some mitzvahs more than others. So that Inyan, that the Metzaveh is more interested in some mitzvahs or more than others, has to do in the Schar V'Oinish and how strict he is enforcing it and so forth. But from our perspective, from our part, since our Inyan is to do mitzvah not because of the consequence of reward and punishment, the central theme of a mitzvah, why are we doing the mitzvah? Not for the reward or punishment, not for consequences, but in order to be connected to the Metzaveh HaMitzvah. This is the meaning of a mitzvah. In that respect, there is really no difference. From that respect, there is no difference. If he said you should do it, and you're doing it, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, if the Eibishter, the mitzvah would have been to chop wood, we would be chopping wood with the same enthusiasm as we're putting on tefillin.
But, okay, I mean, from our perspective, 100% we have to look at everything equally. We can't, but I'm saying, just like, is it improper to say, just like I might have two desires, I want two things to get accomplished, and I care much more about one than the other. Why can't we say that about the answer? In other words, there's some...
Well, because when you care for one more from the other, that's because of the consequences. The mitzvahs that the Eibishter gave us are not because of consequences that he gets out of it. The mitzvahs that the Eibishter gave us is because this is the Eibishter's mitzvah so that he would be with us and we would be with him. It doesn't make any difference with Eibishter himself at all. So therefore, every mitzvah is exactly identical as far as our connection to the Metzaveh mitzvahs.
Could we say
sometimes we'll have
Could we say that the before the mitzvahs there's the roots and there's the will, and the will is the same? I mean, if everything comes from will, not because of there's a reason, but there's a will, that's what Hashem wants.
again, that's right, because it had, yeah, but that's what he's saying. He wants also, but he wants different degrees. That's a completely different thing. Okay, Baruch, your turn.
Well, so if it's my turn, then we're turning the pages all the way back to the end. Do you really want to do that now that you start? I wanted to get in here before you start.
We promised yesterday that we'll give you a chance to ask questions, and it's my fault that I forgot to dial in. So therefore,
it's actually not. It's not your fault. It's Shlomo Yunus and the handler's fault because I texted him a long time. And I'm only kidding.
All right, so we'll put him on the table.
If you're willing to go back, then here's what I'd like to ask.
Go ahead.
And maybe this is all clarified for everybody else. Nobody else has a question about it. But the first thing is, I just want to understand, because you made a big point about how these two mishalim are so important coming at the end. The mashal, two mishalim of the water in the glass and the light through the glass. So, do I understand correctly that what we're supposed to understand from these mishalim is how that the Oyer Atzmi, this is a mashal to bring home the point that no matter how far away the Oyer gets from its origin, what you have, no matter where, no matter what kind of keli it's in, essentially it has in it the Oyer Atzmi. Like you may have red light coming through the glass, and what it shines on looks red. But the fact that it's visible at all, this is because there's the pure, unadulterated oil that's still there after it goes through the red filter. Is that and just like that, you still have the Oyer Atzmi here in everything that you're seeing, in everything that exists, no matter how it's gone through Tzimtzum and Parsais and everything else. Is that the point that you wanted to bring home at the end about these mishalim?
Well, that is what these mishalim are about. There are 2 points in these mishalim. On the one hand, the oil, as it comes through, is not in its initial purity, because it has a gavum, it has a color. And as we discussed, that this is, even though it's only an appearance, but that's what oil is. And then on the other hand, it still retains the essential element that it is oil.
And this is like the Oyer Atzmi. This is like, in other words, godliness in this world. No matter how far this world is quote unquote removed from Atzmus.
Yeah.
Everything here is as close to Atzmus as that red light is to the pure light that's coming through the filter.
What's your point, Baruch?
I'm asking if I understand it correctly. That's my point. I'm trying to make sure that I understand where we wound up at the end of this Hemshech.
The point is that the principle of oil is not lost, no matter where you find it, no matter how far it extends itself.
Okay. So then my more specific question, in the very last lines, so he says, coming back to the Nimshul, V'kein ha'oros atzilus mislabeshes b'biyah, that the ha'oros of atzilus is mislabesh in biyah, and then he says, like it says in the Gersa Kodesh, Teha'ora, 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 Mehakav, Hu b'chol ha'nivroim. So, 2 questions about it. One is...
Okay, you know what, Baruch, stop for a second.
Yeah.
Do you remember what we said about this?
Well, if I remembered it clearly, I probably wouldn't be asking, but that's...
Okay, so I want to repeat what we said about this.
Okay.
What we said about this is that what we have, this Inyan is expressing the fact that despite the fact that we have, say for instance, as in the mashal of the sunlight, that we have sunlight and it becomes completely physicalized, it's like energy that is hitting an object and is deflected from the object. So in a sense it loses completely the oil element, the finesse of light. It becomes like a measurable physical presence. and yet still it retains the oil element. In that, we are able to see an object without being in contact with the object. This whole Inyan that you can see an object without coming in contact, without touching it, is manifesting that there is a truth to this whole phenomenon. Because only truth can you know without coming in touch with it, without fully identifying it, because truth is everywhere.
Okay, I remember this. This doesn't remove my question, but if you don't want to deal with my question now, I'll back off.
Baruch, they're just putting away the Sefer Torah.
Okay.
Why are you confused when it's simple? Huh?
He said the chain fell off.
Amen.
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 Okay. Yeah, what's your question, brother?
Okay, so look, if this is too much detail and it's holding us back and we already started, so then I'll ask you privately.
Okay,
Is that better?
fine. Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's better.
Okay, fine. So, we said that Shofar is a mitzvah of tshuva, and tshuva has the power of slichas avenis. The fact that it can forgive and wipe away sin indicates that it is of supreme quality, it is above sin. Although we say, Al pi yesh v'shekem mitzvah solteira, mishum de mitzad ha-mitzaveh be'emes kulam shovim. Because from the perspective of the mitzvah, from the perspective that in the mitzvah there is the mitzvah ha-mitzvah, they're all equal. The mash yesh kalis v'chamureis, because the fact that there are mitzvahs that are kalis, that are relatively speaking light mitzvahs, and then there are chamureis that are more strict, stringent, and severe mitzvahs. Hainu, that is only beha'oir v'hagil. That is only in the oir, and the gilui, which means how the mitzvah, the oir, reveals itself. This is only in the oir element, not in the etzem element. V'chein b'prote horetzeines. And similarly, I think that this parenthesis we skipped last time, I learned it, if I remember correctly. But this time we have a little bit more of a handle on this. V'chein b'prote, because now we know a little bit more about what oir versus etzem is. So the oil and gilui, there are college v'chamuris. There are different madregas in oil. V'chein b'prote horetzeines sheben mitzvahs, and then also in the particular ritzoines, particular rotzen element that is expressed in mitzvahs, sheyesh bozeh chiluke madregas. That there are different madregas in the prote haritzeines, in the various rotzin elements in the mitzvah. Behu inyan taryag orchin de galgalta. This is the Talyag Orchin Galgalta, the 613 pathways in the Galgalta. Galgalgelis means in the Keser. Shenemar Kol Orches Havaya. As the Pasuk says, Kol Orches Havaya. Kol Orches Havaya, many, all the pathways of Havaya means Orches Loshen Rabbi. That there are many Orches, many pathways. Mishakos will be the Rabbi. But principally the different orchin, the different pathways and different madregas are by the time they reach Zol, as he explains over there, you need a rabbi. But as these different pathways are still contained in Keser, they still are in the mechina of one pathway, bechinas rotzin echot, ukmei shekosuv shom. And it says over there that in Keser itself, the fact that they're divided into many pathways, even though it all comes from Keser, but that the different pathways are the way they're expressed in Zoh. Zoh is a reflection of Kesed, of Rotzen also. Which of course the Kolshke Mitzad HaMetzabo. And surely, if in Kesed Echad Orchos, surely Mitzad HaMetzabo from the perspective of the commander, the Hainu Mitzad Atzmus Ein Soy. When it comes to Atzmus, Kulon Shovi, they're all equal. L'chein al pi Yeshev v'Sheket. And that's why the principle is al pi Yeshev v'Sheket. We should not judge and weigh mitzvahs. So therefore, the principle that we said that the mitzvah tshuva is such a high mitzvah is l'chein inappropriate. The kol mokoim, but nevertheless, mitzvah tshuva is nevertheless our point about mitzvah tshuva is correct. Why? Because mitzvah tshuva, miyach Hashem mesakin kol abgomim, says that it corrects all the blemishes. Umam shich kol hagilui hortzoynes, gam liyach Hashem yistalku, and it can bring back all the retzoynes even after they were removed. That's what tshuva is able to accomplish. Because the principle of slicha, of forgiving of sins, that he should become accepted, even as he was before the chet altogether. And even beyond it, even more than the way he was before the chet. Because tshuva affects even a deeper connection than even before. Which means to say, that even the rotzin that was removed because of the sin, it is drawn back, the hamshach, and the hamshach of that rotzin is mishorshi u'mekoire, is from the very ultimate source. From the Baal HaRotzin, not from an existent rotzin, because the rotzin has completely vanished. You draw the rotzin back from the Baal HaRotzin, from its ultimate source. Madrego Gaveya Yeser, from a higher Madrega Meham Shachose B'Tchila, then how it was drawn originally. This is all part of this parenthesis. This is the principle, the meaning of that word mima'amakim. What's mima'amakim? Many depths. Oimek means depth. Mima'amakim, I call you from many depths. What is this many depths? Mibchinas oimek lo-oimek. A depth within the depth itself. Which means it comes from Baal HaRotzin, but in Baal HaRotzin, before the high Madriga, in Baal HaRotzin, then the original Madriga. As we have the moshel from digging a well for water, Hamayon, a well, In order to bring back the waters that failed, you have to dig this well even deeper. Because the well, this is the Oimek HaNohor, this is the origin of the river, and when it fails, then you have to dig deeper. And they said, and by digging even deeper, you can bring back the water. Similarly, in order to bring the rotzin back that was retracted, you have to draw it from the oimek element.
There's no end to the parentheses.
There is an end, but maybe we'll be able to identify. There is no. They haven't officially. They couldn't appoint the end. Now we'll talk about oimek in a moment. And then, as a result of that, then the waters come back. In order to bring the rotzin back, you have to draw it from the oimek element. And we'll discuss this for a moment. As the pasuk says, Ki imcho haslicho, forgiveness of sin is imcho, is with you. What does that mean? That is referring to the principle Ki imcho mikoyer hachayim. With you is the source of life. The mikoyer hachayim hu rotzin the mitzvahs. This source of life, this is the rotzin of mitzvahs. The inyan Ki imcho mikoyer hachayim, and the principle of that's expressed in this pasuk Ki imcho mikoyer hachayim is it is to draw the rotzain as the rotzain is in asmus al dehat shuva mi'umka de libo.
Sorry, Paltiel, just the types of the words, the grammar of the words. Mokar Achayim is the rotzin of mitzvahs. That's what he said?
Yeah.
Mokar Achayim is the rotzin of mitzvahs. You're going to explain that also?
Yeah, we'll discuss it in a moment. Just trying to kind of anchor ourselves over here. First, I want to talk about Bechinas Ho'emek Davka. What is the principle of depth? We know that you can dig the ground any place virtually. At some point you will hit water. Some place the water is closer to the surface, some place is deeper, but ultimately you'll hit water any place. But you have to go and dig deeper. What is the function of water in the depths of the ground? So as we discussed the other day, there is a Mekoyer Chaim, and then there is the how this manifests itself. There is the water that is close to the surface can be referred to as water as well. Water that serves to draw the water out of it for drinking and for irrigation and so forth. What is the function of water in the depths of the ground? The fact that there is water in the depths of the ground, it is not for surface irrigation and it's not for drinking. You could draw from there. But that is not what the definition of that water is. The definition of that water is that the earth itself has water. The earth, just to give us a little bit of a handle on this, they say that in the earth there is the koyach hatzemeach. There is put in the earth a koyach hatzemeach, and we say that when anything grows, it grows not from the seed, but it grows from the koyach hatzemeach sheboras. It's mamash a ruchnische koyach that the Rebbe should put into the ground. This ruchnische koyach is mamash a ruchnische, is a godly koyach. But as everything, it has a keli. It is expressed also in the very structure of the earth itself. And one element in the structure of the earth itself is that the earth is like a living entity. It has heat. Deep down it has heat. Enormous heat. And it has water. And it has everything that keeps the earth indefinitely functional, alive. This is, so to speak, the keli, the physical manifestation of the fact that the earth has been imbued by the Meibesh and the Koyach Halaki beyond understanding.
It's never going to run out of water.
It's never going to run out of water. It's never going to run out of molten, of melted molten. That's what the earth is. Surface-wise, you don't see it. This is in order, so that we can get it on the chitzonistic level. But the earth itself, the word from the Baal Shem Tov. Everybody knows the word from Baal Shem Tov. Here, atem eretz chayfetz. That the earth, what the Rebbe had put into the earth, the koiches, the secret koiches that Rebbe put in the earth, will never be fathomed by all the scientists in the world, no matter how long they shall study it. Hakil hoy min haaretz, it says everything came from the earth. And the Gemara says, Hakil hoy min haaretz, afilu galgal hashemesh, galgal chama. The galgal chama also came from the earth. And so that's why this is called oimek. What's that oimek? Oimek is a pshat. Surface versus oimek. This is what we have in our experience. We say bina and chochma. And chochma, we say, comes in the form of a borak hamavrik. Of a spark, and bina comes in a settled, a well-defined manner. What is the difference? Both are seichel. Chochma is seichel and bina is seichel. The difference is that chochma, the seichel of chochma, comes from a source that is not seichel at all. This is where seichel, it gets created. How does it get created? If there's no seichel, how does seichel get created? This is called oimek. There is the oimek ha-seichel. There is the essence of seichel. This is the rotzen. Bina gets created from an existent seichel, even though it's in the level of chochmah, in the chochmah, but it's already a presence, a chochmah, a seichel. Therefore, you can draw it and put it into cave. So oimek applies to something that has an essential reality, not just a surface and a functional reality. This is why you can dig for water in the ground everywhere, and if you don't find it here, that means that you didn't dig far enough. Why? Because that's what Earth is. Earth has an essential koyach halaki. It represents Malchus, and it's inexhaustible. It's inexhaustible. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that we learned that's recently, that before you discussed it, that one of the great things that we see in Malchus is that the earth continues to produce indefinitely. And it produces yesh me'ayin. Where does it get this koyach yesh me'ayin? This is mitzad the slapshus hakav, this is also malchus. This is a koyach Ayin alaki. All right. Much to speak of this, but I'm sure that we can sense, we can always define it more and so forth, we can sense that the earth is really representing Ayin and Alaki. It's not a natural phenomenon. Even though the way we relate to it is all natural, you dig a little deeper, you have water. But what is the water doing there in the first place? What is its function over there? The answer is this is part of the reality of the earth. It's not the second thing. Part of the reality of the earth.
This corresponds to death.
No. That is what enables the earth to produce yesh me'ayin.
And this corresponds to depth.
This is the pshat of depth. What does depth mean? Depth means, just like I'm saying, chokhmah is oimek. That means that you go beyond the level where something exists and draw it from its source where it does not exist as a presence. But it exists there because it's a truth, not because it's a presence. This is the lashon from Rambam, as we always repeat. The Rambam says that the first principle is Lidish Hashem Motzi Rishon, that is the first being. To know that the first being. Okay, the first being he creates? No. Amit is Himotze Nimtzo Korinzo. This first being, as we discussed many times, and being, the yes before the no, the being before the not being, is represent a being that we cannot possibly understand what it is. It is there because this is the truth, not because of his presence. There's no definitive presence. And that's what I'm continuing. Me'amit is himotze. It's because of the truth of his presence. That's why there is presence. The truth of presence is not a presence. And this is why they say the creation is yesh me'ayin. There is no source for the creation. It comes from nothing. So the Inyan of tshuva, all rotzen comes from oimek. Rotzen is from Rotzen itself also comes from oimek, also comes from the essence. This is what we discussed at the end of the Hemshech. We said that in Atzmos there is nothing, and but he wanted to create, to represent himself in Noir. So we asked, where does this Rotzen come from? Is this Rotzen a presence? He says, no, the Rotzen is not a presence. Rotzen is part and parcel of the reality of the Atzmos. Remember that discussion? I'm not going in there now. I just want to show the connection, how everything is reflected back. So, but tshuva reaches even deeper than the normal oimek of hamshochas hamitzvos.
Tshuva reflects this Inyan, rather the other mitzvahs reflect a more.
The other mitzvahs reflect the existent rotzen, and tshuva reflects the source of the rotzen, the Baal rotzen.
So this tshuva relates to something that's deeper than the rotzen for mitzvahs.
Right.
The Baal rotzen.
Right.
And therefore, there's a place to say that tshuva should be considered as something a little bit different than all the other mitzvahs. Tshuva should be
right,
special.
Because it has that special quality. Okay, let's continue over here. No, see in a second. I will start from the line. I remember from 6th line from the bottom. Hu rotzen the mitzvahs. Mekeir chayim hu rotzen the mitzvahs. That's a moker achayim. So, if you have to discuss the principle that Moker Chaim is the Rotzen HaMitzvah of mitzvahs.
Is this mentioned because of we read that chapter of Tehillim between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur?
Ma'amakim.
Yeah. That's kind of relevant.
Yeah. So, Mekoir Chaim, so we have two levels over here. There's Mekoir Chaim, and then there is Imcho Mekoir Chaim. What?
Write it down. I'm setting a picture of the text.
It's going to be, there's Mekoir Chaim and Imcho Mekoir Chaim. Just to get us a little handle, I went into this, and as we said right in the onset, that the real essence of mitzvahs is mitzad mitzavah ha-mitzvahs, not the commander, not the mitzvah itself. To us, we have already moshel for this. This is the moshel of the host and the guest. That no matter what the host give the guest, the principle in there is the presence of the host himself, which is expressed through the rajis that he gives him, or the lunch, or whatever he gives him. That's expressed. That's a manifestation of his presence, but it's a manifestation of his presence. But what does it really count for? Why is it so important? Why is it significant? Because it comes from the host. Because the host is the host. It represents the presence of the host. This is Mokir Chai. This is the name of Chai, Mokir Chai.
What's the this in the sentence you just said? This
The,
means
the,
presence
the
of
connection, the connection to the source. The Rotzen non mitzvahs, this is the Mokir Chai. Let us discuss our mashal a little bit more. Okay, our mashal is like this. We have a host, somebody invites you for dinner. And he serves the dinner. And we see clearly that if he serves the dinner and then leaves you alone and says, I'm going to my business, then the whole thing falls apart. So we recognize that there is a principle, not the dinner, as a principle in the presence of the host, or the one who invited you. That's a very important principle. As a matter of fact, that is what makes the whole thing significant and valuable. And yet, if he would invite you for dinner and not serve you dinner, then again there's no real interaction. So what is given to him by the dinner, and what is given to him by the presence of the host? There were two things. In terminology, this is like the tangible part and the intangible part. Just as if you look at a hand, what you see is the physical hand. The chayim, the life in it, you don't see. The life is an intangible, it's invisible. It's not a physical thing. But this is what made the hand into a hand. Without that, it's a piece of flesh. What in fact is this life of the hand? So we discussed many times, like we should go into this right in the beginning. There are two levels of chayas in the hand. There's a fact that the hand is alive in terms of that it's not dead. In other words, it's not going to rot. They're going to keep the flesh fresh. Then there is the koyach that's in the hand, the koyach hatnuah. The koyach hatnuah that enables a person to do everything that he wants to do, that his seichel tells him, that his rotzen tells him, but the function of the hand. Now, the chayas, the fact that it's alive, the basic level of chayas, we'll discuss it separately, because that is more difficult to focus in. But the chayas in the hand, like the koyach hatnuah. The koyach hatnuah is like a koyach hatnuah. The hand is able to move around and to do all kinds of different things. Let us consider the human hand that's able to do all kinds of different things, and the robotic hand that is able also to do various things. What's the difference?
I have to call you back in a minute.
A human being, they have these production lines. There is certain things that a human being, certain screws that a human being has to put in, and then they have the robots who put the screw in perfectly better than a human being. And they screw it in exactly the way it should be. What's the difference?
The real hand knows what it's doing.
The real hand is connected to its source. That's what it's alive. Life means that it goes all the way to the very. It's not acting at the level of the action. There is a seichel, there is midos, there is seichel, there is rotzen, and there is the etzem hanefesh. This is what makes it act. Not even rotzen; it's beyond rotzen. This is the essential reality. Now, practically speaking, do we have it with you? Can I go a little further? Practically speaking, he is doing this action. What directs him to do this action? His seichel, to do it this way. What enables the seichel and gives chayes to the seichel is the rotzen. What enables the rotzen? What enables the rotzen is that he is for real. The reality, the human reality itself. In other words, Rotzen is such an entity that comes from reality. In other words, it is not merely a functional benefit. Rotzen is a manifestation, is an expression of the fact that he is for real.
Which is the Atzmi?
Etzem ha'odam, the person. We're talking about the human being.
Etzem ha'odam or Etzem hanefesh?
It's the same thing. This etzem being, at the end of the Hemshech, this is where we discuss it at great length. This is why a person has a name. What's a name? A name says, is a reality here. Before he begins to do anything, we call it functionality. You know, we discuss a lot of things associated with that, ownership and all kinds of different things. That level of essence, this is the depth beyond the depth. This is the reality itself. This reality doesn't even belong to the person. This is a reality that the Rebbeinu, this is Rebbe's presence in it. This is B'tzamenikid Museini, like we learned. This is not even a worldly phenomenon. You cannot explain on the worldly terms, like we said, what is a name? What is ownership of property? Like we discussed that. It's something which is there, which is really because this is a godly creation, a godly presence. So, the Rotzen on mitzvahs, this is already a state of Rotzen. But the Rebbeinu wanted to create a world, and the Rebbeinu wanted that there should be mitzvahs, and he should be in the form of oil, and this is what the Rotzen is. And there is beyond that, the one who wanted that Rotzen. This is what Tshuva understood.
That's the Im Kamachar Chaim.
That's a Yin Kamachar, that's what we're going to say. The one who wanted that Rotzen. Okay, let us just go through it a little bit and so we can know where we're up to, and then we...
That's the Bala Rotzen, in other words?
That's the Bala Rotzen, let me say. Okay, so again, we are 6 lines from the bottom. Im Chomeker Chayim, Mekoyer Chayim Hu Rotzen the mitzvahs. This is Mekoyer Chayim. Why is it Mekoyer Chayim? This is real life. There's a living connection to the Rotzen, and this is what follows through. V'inyan ki Im Chomeker Chayim. Imcho means that which is before the Mekor Chaim has been created. Hu lahamshich hu rotzain, that refers to be mamshich the rotzain k'meishu hu kol be'asmus ein soif, as the rotzain is before it becomes rotzain, because it's kol and asmus ein soif. They had shuva me'umke deliba. By the effect of tshuva that comes miyumka deliba, from the depths of the heart. What is the tshuva miyumka deliba? This is not the time, the place of discovery. Just as we have a cloud, we don't skip anything. Tshuva miyumka deliba means like this. There is tshuva that is triggered, initiated by realizing the effect of the misdeeds, what I'm missing, its consequences, and then as a result of the misdeed, you lose, like we said the other day. Remember that. I was talking with him in Port Washington, so pointed out this sensitivity that one has to this truth of the host and the guest. I said, why would you not give, not to lose the sensitivity? Averis make you lose this kind of sensitivity. And you turn around and say, hey, I think like an animal. And you want to regain your human sensitivity, human perception. This is also from the depth of the heart and so forth. Umka deliba is a completely different thing. From the depth of the heart means I don't know of any consequences. As a matter of fact, since I lost my sensitivity, so I lost my sensitivity. I'm not sensitive to what I'm missing. Like the Rebbe says in the Yom Yom, that once because he becomes coarse, he's not even realizing how coarse he is. So why should I do tshuva? I'm okay. What is miyunke deliba? Miyunke deliba. This has no consequential definition. It's just that the metzius of the world has no basis for existence, except for the truth of Hashem's presence. And I'm completely into the world, so I have no basis for existence. There's not an element of truth in my existence. I just happen to exist. For a human being, just to happen to exist is impossible. Like we explained, we have the mashal of being at a party uninvited. It's the same party and everything else. He feels totally out of place. He can't find himself. This is mitzad umkedev. This is inexplicable. This is mitzad the reality of the human being. So when it comes to Munkum Deliba, this is what is it missing there? The truth itself, the Meibash's presence. This Amit is Himotze. He doesn't sense any truth in existence. It's all relative and it's all cause and effect. And he can't tolerate it. That's Munkum Deliba. And it's not because of lack of sensitivity or anything like that. He doesn't exist as an entity, period.
That drives him to, in other words, that touches his oimek of his heart.
That touches oimek, and that brings back to Atzmus, that connects back to Atzmus.
the fact that he cannot tolerate that does not jive with the fact that he's a non-existence. This does not make.
No, it's an existence without an element of truth.
And this touches the fact this rubs against his essential reality, basically.
That's right. This is why this is called umke de liebe, not the umke the emek of the mind, but the emek of the heart. The mind always has some kind of a definition. What is it that I want? Even in Chochmah, what is it about? The heart, there is a depth that is beyond that is deeper than the mind. That is the essential life element, essential of the neshama. And the Umke de Liebe, when it's true of the Umke de Liebe, then that reaches beyond the Rotzon HaMitzvahs. That reaches into Mek'im Chomekir Chai, into Atzmis itself. And that can bring back all the Rotzon.
Means the heart is in a way deeper, because the heart runs deeper than the mind.
Right.
We know everything comes from the mind.
Everything, the gilui, the revelation comes from the mind, but the essence is in the heart. And it says that Rusa de Liebe, this is where Les Machshava Tisa B'Machshava is Seichel. Rusa de Liebe touches Beis himself.
That's the sense that a person has, comes from the Rusa de Liebe. And a person sense the Midah
No, the sense is in Seichel.
The Leid is Yesh Amutzer, Amidah Chochmah.
That's Seichel.
The Amidah Chochmah means where Seichel stands on. Is that from the Rusa de Liebe?
No. Oh, that is from the Rotzon.
And that's higher than Rusa de Liebe, or?
Okay, you want to...
What's the question?
Well, his question is very simple. I have to go. Seichel is based on Rotzon. Rusa de Liebe is also Rotzon. What's the difference? The difference is Seichel only sees the chitzenius of the Rotzon, and the etzem of Rotzon is in the heart. Rusa de Liebe is not chitzenius. Rusa de Liebe, the heart cannot distinguish between one thing and another. This is what I am. We spoke about it one time.
But does it relate to a person anything about Rusa de Liebe? If he can bring it down, actually, does it have any functionality, the Rusa de Liebe?
No.
Nothing. So why, if it doesn't have anything,
It has the essence.
But doesn't manifest anything from there? Nothing is coming from. So why do we need to know it?
Are you still talking over there, Paltiel? I can't hear what's going on.
I have, Shlomo is talking. All right, we have to leave it for another day. Leave it tomorrow. Okay, have a good day. Call to.
If you give stuff, it brings you a bracha, right?
Okay, we just finished.
So you're off the hook today.
Yes.
Gave you a check. Sure. I already get a bracha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it wasn't such a good joke.
All right.
no, 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 no.